Now, this was a really good weekend. This was one of those really special weekends in a lot of ways. And as we go through the pictures, we hope you enjoy sharing it with us. We spent one day during the week with Tim polishing up the Ninja. He got the wheels polished. He got a lot of the paint buffed out. And of course he wanted to show it off to Luciano a little bit to start the day off. Here's our proud Ninja owner here. And he really is enjoying having this bike. He's really taken to it. Now, because Tim's not a big giant guy like I am, he's not a 200-pound, maybe he is, and I don't know it. This size bike is perfect for him. And it seems like all the guys up on a mountain, every time he's ridden it there, they kind of oogle it and tell him polish the chain or do something. That he's inspired to get it. It's still in my garage, in fact, and he's been working on it every time he gets a chance to just get it a little bit nicer than the time before. And it's really starting to come around, and I think as he works on it more and more, it's going to get detailed out more and more. But most of all, he really enjoys riding it, and that's such a big thing, because you never really know if you're going to enjoy riding a bike until you get several nice long rides on it. And it's just the way it is with motorcycles. I guess that's the way it is with a lot of stuff. But now in my case, and it's exactly the same thing, I bought this bike as a rec bike, as a track bike. Luciano worked on it quite a while, and as I started to ride it, and the only reason I put a plate on it was because I wanted to tune it and work on it before we took it to the track. It turned out to be such a fun bike to ride that I said, yeah, I may as well, you know, realistically, I may as well just keep the bike for a street bike too, which I've done, and it's turned out to be perfect for me. And I always rate the motorcycles I have, and I have 7 right now. I've always rated them by how much fun they are to ride, not by how fast they are or how cute they are or how many polished parts or whatever, but there are just some bikes, and you can't put it in words, I can't anyway, they're just fun to ride. This happens to be one of them. And of course, the fact that we can scam people constantly that it's a real Ferrari, that adds to the fun. And anyway, we were looking at Luciano's wheels, and these are, I think because it's the racing model, there's some lighter wheels than what normally come on a Ducati, but I'm not sure. But because we're all thinking about who's got the most polished wheels this weekend, and I guess we really look at each other's wheels all weekend if we want. But we really did have a nice ride, and we went a little bit different route up to Bear Mountain this time. Tim is proudly wearing his West Cooley shirt, and he is responsible in a large part for the West Cooley project. He kind of put the bug in my ear to turn it into a West Cooley bike. And then of course Ray helped me pick up the donor bike after we found it in Philadelphia, but it's a long story. Now this was really, Luciano knows this gentleman, and I don't know his name, but they had a long conversation. He's got a big collection of bikes, a lot of them very exotic. This is one, it's an Aprilia 2-stroke. Ray knows what this is. I'm sure a lot of people know what it is. And he was telling us the various adventures he's had restoring these old bikes and riding them and trading them and oh, God knows what else. But look at the exhaust system on it. It's got quite an exotic little exhaust system. And of course, anything 2-stroke, the minute you start it, everybody's head turns. They all know it's a 2-stroke. A real nice set of mufflers on this. Maybe they're the ones that come with the bike, I don't even know. And Luciano was talking to him, and he said he was just on some real long, you know, big long ride up to New York State somewhere to a Collecto or something. And he rode this up there, and he said it's really not that uncomfortable to ride. And of course, the ongoing saga of Luciano's Ducati, now that he's a Ducati specialist, you can see these are the mirrors I painted up for him. This week we're painting this lower cowl section and some of the dashboard parts. But he gives me parts every week to paint, and we're little by little bringing it, little upgrades to it. The mirrors were a big upgrade. And Tim, of course, this is the guy that owns the Aprilia here. And again, I don't remember his name. At my age, I don't remember what I had for breakfast, let alone people's names. There you can see how nice the mirrors came out here. That's a nice shirt, Tim. collector item. Anyway, some of the guys come in. Here's a guy on a Moto Guzzi. This guy picked up the bike, and we were talking to this guy. This bike was 3 days old. And it's funny, I looked at the bike and I said, wow, this guy really keeps the bike nice. It looks almost new. And he said it's 3 days old. Another one, this was a brand new bike that only had a few days on it. Now he was telling us one of the tricks, because he lives in New York City. They leave the license plate on with a bend in it with zip ties instead of bolts. So that as soon as you start riding, the plate flips up. And it keeps the thieves, what happens is they get your license plate number, and then they have friends at Motor Vehicle that know where you live, and they come and break into your garage or whatever and steal it. So when you have one of these, now believe me, nobody is going to steal my bikes. I don't know. We have the guard dog next door, Andy, that'll take a leg off in a minute. And he sits in the back window all day looking for somebody to sneak into my garage. Anyway, this is cute. Nice fiberglass work. I came very close at the Javits show in '09 to really wanting one of these. And it's a long story, but I wound up buying the R1 instead, and it suited my needs really well. Again, this is a lot like the BRUCIE. Really nice seating position. I sat on Joe's BRUCIE. That really had a nice sporty feel to it. Now another guy came in with Luciano's Ducati, the exact same one, but of course it wasn't. This one was a whole different one, in fact, when we looked at it. And they were talking Ducati talk and who's got the most money into the clutch, and Luciano just finished putting his clutch in yesterday. I got pictures of the new clutch to share. And he was doing this as a restoration, and he was telling Luciano how this fits and this doesn't, and this you can use. He's got different wheels on here too. He's got, and so what's cool is when you have a Ducati, you can talk to the other Ducati guys and exchange ideas. And in my case, I always like to talk to the guys that have older bikes and have fiddled and diddled until they got them really running well. And it's funny, the Moto Guzzi guys, now up until recently, it really wasn't like a Moto Guzzi club, but our little group of guys has kind of turned into the Moto Guzzi Club of the Century. This fellow was real nice. He was telling us he went to the Ducati factory and then bought a Moto Guzzi. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a put down or not. But another one of these bikes. We've seen several of these up on the mountain. They seem popular. And when you buy this bike, you get a special plastic bag to go over the seat when you wash it, because it's got a velvet seat. A velour, a velvet or something, and it has a plastic cover that you snap over this. He was telling us, because I looked at the seat and I said, geez, that's a cool thing. I make seats. I'd like to do something like that. But see, this has a sewn seam, and because I'm a Mr. Put It Off Till Tomorrow, I have a perfect sewn machine, and I bought the special thread and everything 4 years ago, and I still haven't gotten around to using it. Maybe this winter we'll be able to sew seams in seats. But anyway, when I got home, as I always do from these rides, I like to relax a little bit, see what work Karen's done in the garden, feed my fish, check out the plants. She usually spends the Saturday morning weeding her garden and picking new flowers for the house, and we're having guests this weekend, so sprucing up the house, getting it real nice. Now what's really cool is this weekend is the Cousin Brucey concert in Giant Stadium, and our neighbors, Ted and Barbara, we wanted to go down there. So we all got our walking shoes on, and we spent the whole afternoon walking. And they had a monster truck there. I'm not sure this is a real one, but maybe it is, I don't even know. But they were giving rides in a monster truck and doing little baby wheelies in the parking lot or whatever they do with monster trucks. And what was cool, if you had a young guy, now I'm sure a couple of years from now Miles would love this. They love taking a picture with the guy. Now this may be some famous guy. This may be you know, Derek Jeter or something, and I don't even know it. It could be, and we don't even know, because I don't follow monster trucks, even though I know what they are and they're fun. And actually last week they had them in Giant Stadium, the show that you can go to. Now, Karen loves this, and of course, because Ted and Barbara are from Brooklyn, and I'm from Brooklyn, we all kind of know who Cousin Brucie is, and we actually sat in this chair for about oh my God, about an hour, so we could get a reserved seat. And there's the man, Cousin Brucie. And I'm telling you, I don't care how many facelifts he has, he still looks really good. And nobody can tell he's got a wig. It's really, he really does look good and he is still an icon. He's still a very popular guy. He played all the songs Karen and I grew up with, and the long list of just goes on and on. They had about 20 performers. And they had a contest for the world's handsomest man. I came in second. Cousin Brucie was first. And he had his leopard skin jacket, and oh my God, they had the music from Palisade Park, and Leslie Gower, and Ronnie Spector, and I don't know, 8 or 10 groups, but really, and it's free. The nicest thing is once you pay your admission to the fair of $7, you get to see the concert, and they had a helicopter flying overhead for the whole time giving rides. Is one of the groups. Again, I'm not sure I know any of these just by looking at them. As soon as they start their music, then you know who they are. Leslie Gower, she still looked great. Some of the other iconic people. And of course the closer, Ronnie Spector, she is still a performer. She still knows how to, and this was late at night, this was after 10 o'clock at night. And she was shutting down the show with a just great little bunch of songs. I thought this was cute. We went into the Alive Ape Girl. We got the poor women walking in front of the sign. And some of the rides, I guess everybody remembers these rides. And the State Fair is still on. It's in Giant Stadium parking lot. The smells and everything that it brings back were really good. This really was a fun night out. The only thing that was sad is we were trying to scope it out to see if there was anything that would appeal to my grandson. I think he's just a little bit too young for this. And the neatest thing at the end, we got to see the tigers. These are white tigers. And they were feeding them meat and hot dogs and whatever else they feed them. And then right at the very end, as we're walking out, there was this little motorcycle display with ATVs and stuff, and I got to see, this is the first Bolt I've seen, this kind of like Harley Cruiser kind of thing. But nothing compares with a quick ride up to Perkins early in the morning. Now, we've been getting up earlier and earlier. In fact, pretty soon we're going to be getting up so early, Luciano's going to say, I don't want to get up that early. We'll go a little bit later. But so far I've been able to get him motivated. Anyway, we get up to the mountain. This is very strange. And there's all these people that are not riding motorcycles hanging out on this is our private bench. And there's women with children and guys, I guess they're up from the city. So what do you think they wanted to do when they saw that they were in the presence of an iconic person that came in second in the beauty contest with Cousin Brucie? Can I sit on your Ferrari motorcycle, sir? Why, of course, young lady. Oh my God, we had fun with them. They were really nice people. Everybody that hangs out at the mountain is nice. We always, no matter how much we tease them, they still come back for more. And Chuck, who is responsible for helping me with finding many things that I've used over the past couple of years. One of my favorite bikes. Now, he hasn't let me ride it yet, but I think he's gonna. I keep probing him to see if he wants me to wear in the tires a little for him. So far, he hasn't said yes, though. And as the place started filling up, we started really looking at this. There are two of them. There's a white one too that somebody else owns, and I don't know that gentleman. But this one is really immaculate. I mean, there is really not a scratch on it. And he's already made some modifications to it. Something that turns the fan on quicker or whatever that he was telling us. It's got the oil cooler that a Daviel has, or I guess maybe a lot of Ducatis have. And look at some of the modem at the welds. This is what I always look at, the weld quality, because of course I'm a welder. I'm not sure if you can see that. I got to kind of move this around, but Some of the weld quality on this KTM was off the chart. And when I say welder, I used to weld iron railings, not motorcycle frames. And believe me, some of my welds, the railings probably fell over in a year. And our good friend, oh, this is the guy that owns the KTM. And our good friend now, we call him Willie Nelson. I don't know if he's offended by that or not. It doesn't matter, he's not that big of a guy. But what's cool is, we were trying to convince these people that were up from the city, that really is Willie Nelson. You should go over and give him a kiss. And the girl was saying, I don't know, he doesn't really look like Willie Nelson. He does look like Willie Nelson. Now another fellow we met, he had a Honda track bike with wave rotors, and we were asking him about his wave rotors, and he really was a knowledgeable guy and knew all about the track days and everything. We participated in track days. And then later on in the day, he came over, and this is really funny. Luciano and I were sitting in, well, we all were sitting in the shade because we're basically cowards to sit out in the sun. And he had convinced 2 or 3 of the other guys that this really was a Ferrari bike. And they brought their friends over and they go, oh yeah, I've seen them before. Yeah, they make them, yeah. And it was really funny. And I'm not sure, we never did let them in on the joke. Maybe we'll have to this weekend because I don't want them stealing the bike. It's only a $1,500 bike, so you imagine you steal it and the guy says, it's worth a lot of money, yeah. Anyway, we got the regulars floating in. They all go down to the little coffee shop by the Ducati place. And Pokey was not wearing his windy shirt like he should, since he's a sponsored rider, one of my sponsored riders, and I give him a shirt and he doesn't wear it. Very embarrassing to me. A nice 90S. I bet that brings back a lot of memories to Kenny Augustine. Maybe bad memories, who knows. But anyway, we just had, it's hard to explain it to people that don't know. We just had a wonderful day. Jerry, now, the thing with Jerry, we're teasing him about his chain not being oiled and his chain not being adjusted and everything. And we really don't even call him Jerry anymore. We call him Rusty because his chain was rusty one time. Nice picture of the 90S. Now, long story, this gentleman, his name is Fabian. He's one of the things he does is paint houses. He's just painted the interior of my house. And he was looking at all the bikes in my garage, and we were talking bikes more than he was painting my house, I think. And his crew was up on ladders and doing their spackle thing, and he wanted to buy a new bike. And so he searched this out and found it. And this is the first ride he rode up to Perkins to show it to me, and looked pretty nice. This is his old bike. It used to be the bike he had before that. And he also has a Harley too, but this is not the Harley. The Harley's white. But he had Luciano check it out and Luciano thought it was in great shape. The paintwork, it looked like it's never been out in the rain. And then, of course, if you want a cruiser, that changes everything. You know, the cruisers are a whole nother group of people, a whole nother group of animals. Our friend with the Buell, beautiful Buell. I never can look at this Hawk and not be amazed how clean it is. I mean, just whistle clean. It's a collector bike for sure. I've never seen a cleaner one than this one. Here's Luciano checking out the Voyager. Alright, this gentleman's up there all the time too with his Abarth. Of course, Luciano has a black Abarth, which in theory is his wife's Abarth, but I think Luciano has put more wear on the tires than she has. And there's Fabian in the background, checking out the bike. And I hope if he has an issue with the bike, Luciano can help him out with it. Luciano's a Kawasaki specialist. I think he's got 25 Kawasaki's or 22 or something, I don't know. But anyway, and extra motors and whatever. But anyway, all we hope is Luciano's got an extra GS crankshaft come December. Anyway, there's a long story to this. I'm not going to tell it now, but someday when we see him again. There's some stories, I'm sure, from the old days when we used to hang around at Kenny Augustine's shop, and Ray Straub still has Steve McLaughlin's leathers that originally were my leathers, and They came from Steve to me, and oh my God, and I didn't fit into them, and I don't fit into anything. I don't even fit into my own leathers anymore. I guess none of us really fit into our old leathers. Our friend that's the one, you think it's funny, but he ran the Harley drag bike that's in Bergen Honda. He's the driver of the drag bike. And he's got a really nice, I think he's got 2 or 3 of them, these old 650 Kawasaki's. Likes to ride up. He's always got nice, he doesn't have them on today. He's got alligator skin boots. And I always say it's the usual suspects. It's just the usual suspects that make this all a fun time. A fun weekend for everybody. And I just wonder, for people our age, there's Chuck in the background. And I just wonder what else you could be doing for so little money to impress so few people. It's a great time.